Settle into a seat that allows our spine to get nice and vertical. See if you can put your torso in a place where that gravitational force load is more or less alleviated from the body. We can sit as effortlessly as is possible. Give ourselves about 40 more seconds here, just trying to land within our body and breath. So there's this young woman who is on this very long adventure. She's headed out to see her aunt and uncle in a village that she used to visit as a kid but hasn't visited in a long time. So next time that you exhale, let's allow our chin to tuck down to our sternum. And as the chin settles in here, try to maintain that torso verticality. And then let's just rock the chin a little side to side. So we get a little lateral exploration. Little play into the posterior of the cervical spine as we move and explore. And then let's start to work our way slowly, continuing this lateral movement back up towards a neutral chin. So maybe you lift maybe a half a centimeter to a centimeter at a time through each kind of rotation. So this is a very slow working back to neutral, but it is a consistent progress. Eventually, with no rush to make this true, we get to the point where our head is rotating at this neutral plane. And let's just work through that full rotation a couple times. Maybe one more time in each direction. And then we'll find our chin back to a neutral alignment. And let's transition to hands and knees tabletop. Think about that neutral alignment of the chin as you splay the fingers out and as you create that base position. So the gaze is neutral down. And think about how much strength we can develop or feel in each fingerprint. And then let's curl our toes, lift our seat, and roll our way into down dog. Try to maintain that neutral alignment of the chin. So we're gazing roughly through our legs now, kind of roughly ankle height. And then let's come down to hands and knees tabletop. And as you get into hands and knees tabletop, let's lift our chin so that it's parallel with the floor. So we have some nice full extension here. And then we're going to give a little gaze over the right shoulder, over the left shoulder, over the right shoulder, over the left shoulder. And maybe one more time in each direction. Try to keep the chin parallel with the floor. And then eventually working back to gazing neutral and then dropping the chin to neutral. So the gaze is straight down. Let's curl our toes, lift our seat, and find our way into down dog. We get the hips back, we get the weight back, we feel that energy and strength.
And let's walk our way to the front of the mat. As you arrive at the front of the mat, inhale to a half lift. Create that neutral alignment. So we're gazing straight down at the floor as we extend the spine. And then exhale and release back. See if you can keep the chin relatively neutral so that we're gazing through the legs. And then let's roll ourselves up vertebrae by vertebrae. The chin being the last thing to lift so that we kind of unroll the spine, uncoil the spine into a mountain. And as we land in mountain, splaying the toes out wide. Creating that neutral or parallel alignment of the bottom of the chin with the floor. And maintaining that as kind of a point of awareness as you drop the left foot straight back into lunge. Sweep the arms to crescent, but try to keep that neutral chin alignment. And then let's exhale and take the arms out towards cactus. Chin stays neutral, core stays neutral. We'll exhale the hands together at heart center, and we'll step to the front of the mat. Landing, broadening, kind of building into the strength and the base of this position. And then let's flip to our second side. Right foot's going to slide straight back. Chin stays at that neutral parallel with the floor. Sweep the arms to crescent. Chin stays. Exhale, take your arms out to cactus. Palms forward here. Think about the strength in the back leg. Let's drop the hands to heart center and return to the front of the mat. Sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale through forward fold. Inhale into half lift. Create that neutral alignment so the gaze is straight down. Exhale back into fold. We'll plant our hands and walk our way into down dog. And as you find the depth of your down dog, really think about the tailbone driving back. And let's come down to hands and knees. And we'll sink back into child's pose, flipping the tops of the feet as we do so. And just landing here. So this woman has a several day journey to get to this little village. She's doing this on her own, and it's kind of her first extended lone adventure. But it goes pretty much without a hitch. She arrives at the village a little later than expected, kind of at dusk. She was hoping to arrive at midday, but she arrives on the day she expected. And that's pretty much all you can ask for. When she's walking into town, she notices this very weird phenomena. By the entrance to this village, there is this pile or structure of rocks. It is a unique combination. It is this giant, massive pile of rocks. But in many ways, it looks like a structure. Like every single rock was placed there intentionally. Not like they was just dumped there in a wheelbarrow. Like every rock was placed intentionally. Just a weird thing she notices as she heads into town. Last 10 seconds here. And then when it feels appropriate for you, let's slide our hands forward if they're not already in front of us, and we'll pull ourselves to tabletop. And from tabletop, let's curl our toes, lift our seat, and find our way into down dog. And then we'll walk our way to the front of the mat. Inhaling into half lift. Exhaling back into fold. And then rolling our way up in the mountain once again. Chin becomes the last thing that unfolds here. We find our way to this neutral chin alignment.
Good strength, good neutrality in the middle of the body. Let's slide our left foot straight back into lunge once again. Sweep the arms to crescent. And then take the arms out to cactus, palms facing forward. Splay the fingers out as wide as you can get them. And then just exhale and bring the elbows and the palms together. Inhale, we'll take the arms back out to cactus. Exhale together. Inhale to cactus. And exhale together. And we'll step back to the front of the mat. Drop the hands either behind you or to your side, whatever's most comfortable for your shoulders. If you can interlace the fingers behind you, let's do that. If we're grasping the sides of the pants, just get a nice little firm grip there. And then let's roll the shoulder blades up and then back and down. So it's a full mechanism up, back, down. And then if you can take a little bend to the elbows, I mean, bring the elbows just a little bit closer together. Let's do that. Splay the toes out nice and wide. Have that 2 fist distance in the feet. And then flex into the quads. So as you flex into the quads, just get that torso elevation. Try to keep the distance between the elbows the same. And then we'll relax our hands together at heart center. And the right foot's going to step straight back into lunge. We'll sweep our way to crescent. Exhale the arms out to cactus. Next time you exhale, we'll bring your hands together. Inhale to cactus. Exhale together. Inhale to cactus. Exhale together. One more time, we'll inhale to cactus. Exhale together. And we'll step to the front of the mat. Sweeping the arms either behind us or to the sides once again. Wherever we are, just having a ability to clasp, so interlacing the fingers or getting a nice grip on the sides of the pants. We're going to squeeze the shoulder blades up, roll them back and then down, and then see if we can take the elbows just a little bit closer together. And then once you get that elbow action, we're capturing this whole anterior shoulder girdle. We're going to flex into the quads and just really pull the anterior chain taut. And we'll relax the hands together to heart center. Slide your left foot straight back into lunge. Ground your left heel and roll to warrior 2. Find the nice width across the hip girdle. Think about peeling that right thigh open and take the fingers. Think about taking the arms like a ½ inch higher than you normally would. So use a little bit more of that shoulder space and then squeeze your scapula together and feel how that brings the tautness back into the torso, how we have a little bit more stability in our torso. Left heel spins up, we're into crescent. Let's drop the hands and return to the front of the mat. Big deep exhale here. Just land in your mountain. And then we'll take our right foot straight back into lunge, ground the right heel and roll to 2. The arms are going to come that little bit ½ inch higher. Peel that right thigh, or that left thigh nice and wide. And then squeeze the scapula together. Feel how the whole torso comes into engagement as we bring that shoulder girdle activity into play. And then right heel spins up, we're into crescent. Drop the hands and we'll step to the front of the mat. Sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale through fold. Inhale into half lift.
Get that nice flat neutral spine and neutral gaze. Exhale back into fold. Plant your hands. We'll walk into down dog. And let's come down to hands and knees, tabletop. We'll flip the tops of the feet. We'll sink back into child's pose once again. We'll probably get another opportunity to get into child's pose. But treat this as if it's your last. Really think about landing in child's pose. If you happen to be in practice yesterday, we got that big anterior hip crease space. See if you can pull that back so that we get more depth into this fold, into the fold of the shape. And then just relax so that your breath releases your torso further and further towards the floor or thighs. So the next morning, this young woman wakes up. She's really excited because this bakery that she used to love as a little girl is still around. And so she heads, as soon as she wakes up, she heads directly to the bakery. It's on the edge of town. And as she's going there, she walks past this pile of stones, this stone structure, whatever it is. And she had forgotten about it. She kind of maybe half thought it was a figment of her imagination from the fatigue from yesterday's walk, but it's there, and it's just as weird as she remembered it in the fading night of the night before. Give ourselves just 10 more seconds here. When it feels appropriate for you, hands reaching in front of us if they're not already there, we'll pull our way forward to tabletop. And from tabletop, splay the fingers out wide on both hands. Really think about the strength in the hands. And then we're going to get light in the left hand so that the strength in the right hand has to compensate a little bit. And then take your left arm out into a cactus alignment. So palm is facing down. Gaze is straight down. So it's a neutral gaze. And then just splay the fingers out wide and pull the scapula straight up towards the ceiling or sky. And then as the scapula is pulling up, think about what you can do with core engagement to elongate the spine so that we're staying with length and expansiveness along the entirety of the torso. And then relax your left hand. The left hand takes the weight here, so the right hand gets light, and we're gonna do the same thing to the second side. Right arm comes out into that cactus flail. Fingers splay out wide, and then the scapula pulls straight up towards the ceiling or sky. And as we do that, we elongate by engaging the core, and we get depth through the posterior and anterior chains of the torso. And then we'll relax the right hand down to mirror the left. Curl your toes, lift your seat, and roll your way back into down dog. We'll walk to the front of the mat. Inhale into half lift. Exhale back into fold. Let's drift our awareness to our sacrum, and we'll roll ourselves up vertebrae by vertebrae. Eventually finding our way to mountain, splaying the toes, flexing the quads, feeling that rooted, grounded strength here. Hands come together at heart center. Let's slide our left foot back into lunge. Inhale and extend the arms straight towards the ceiling into crescent. Exhale and bring your hands together at heart center. Inhale to cactus.
Exhale to heart center. Inhale to crescent. Exhale to heart center. Inhale to cactus. Exhale to heart center. Inhale to crescent. Exhale to heart center. Inhale to cactus. Exhale to heart center. Inhale to crescent. Exhale to heart center. Last time. Inhale to cactus. Exhale to heart center. Inhale to crescent. Exhale to heart center. And we'll step to the front of the mat. Now, as you step forward, you may notice that we have a little bit of fatigue in the hips. We have a little asymmetry in the body. Think about some glute squeeze to re-strengthen and realign things. Splay the toes out. Get the quads back into the engagement so we're strong in our mountain pose. And then with the understanding that we have some potential fatigue, we're going to slide the right foot back. Hands at heart center. We inhale to crescent. Exhale to heart center. Inhale to cactus. Exhale to heart center. Inhale to crescent. Exhale to heart center. Inhale to cactus. Exhale to heart center. Inhale to crescent. Exhale to heart center. Inhale to cactus. Exhale to heart center. Inhale to crescent. Exhale to heart center. Inhale to cactus. Exhale to heart center. Inhale to crescent. Exhale to heart center. And we'll step to the front of the mat. Let the hands slide behind you. Flex the quads, splay the toes. Fatigue around the hip girdle here. So that can go all the way into glute med. We're going to challenge that. We're going to challenge the fatigue. So hands behind us. We're going to sink our way back towards chair. Splay the toes out and push until you feel that glute med musculature activate, turn on. And then bring your torso down so that it's maybe an inch or so above the thighs and push the tailbone back a little bit further. See if you can get the lumbar to expand a little bit here. And then if it feels accessible, you can push the hands back while you're pushing the tailbone back. And then we'll rise back to mountain. Sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale through fold. Inhale into half lift. Exhale back into fold. Plant your hands and we'll walk to down dog. Let's shift our weight forward to plank and lower ourselves down to our belly. And bring your elbows right underneath your shoulders for Sphinx. So we have a nice 90-degree bend at the elbow, but we have an awareness of the lumbar. We're coming out of that lumbar length, so we're trying to play on that awareness. Splay the fingers out and press them down into the mat so that you feel that engagement of fingerprint driving energy up through your shoulders, maybe even helping you squeeze the glutes a little bit to protect the lumbar. And then let's relax our forehead down to stacked hands for a little crocodile. And as you lower the head down here, and we bring more neutral alignment into the spine, think about how you can respirate to relax lumbar length, to relax into lumbar length. We'll give ourselves just 45 seconds here. Last 15 seconds here. When it feels appropriate for you, let's press ourselves up to tabletop. And from tabletop, once again, thinking about the strength that we can create in our hands, and then pull your belly button up so that we get that core activation. So we have a little retraction in the belly button, and we're going to keep that retraction in the belly button as you curl your toes and roll your way back into down dog. Well, we feel a little bit of that anterior restrictiveness. See if you can still get the same depth that you can create in down dog. And then let's walk our way to the front of the mat. We'll inhale into half lift. And exhale back into fold. And then we'll roll or sweep our way up into mountain. Bring your hands together, heart center. Slide your left foot straight back into lunge. And then ground your left heel and roll to 2. And we're going to turn the palms up. And with an inhale, we're going to find cactus. And then with an exhale, we're going to bring the hands behind us so the palms are away from us. Thumbs and index fingers come together for a little diamond. And then inhale back into cactus, roll, turn, and open. And then exhale back. I might have said exhale on that last one, but I lied. Thumbs to index fingers. Inhale back into cactus. So it's a roll and open. Exhale to that diamond behind you. Really getting full shoulder rotation here. Make sure your front knee isn't collapsing in. We're staying wide and open. The toes are active. Inhaling to cactus. And then one more time to diamond. And then we're going to roll or expand to full version of 2. Fingers towards the front and back of your room. Left heel spins up into crescent. And we'll drop the hands and step to the front of the mat. Easy, fluid respiration here. When it feels appropriate for you, and you feel like you've grounded and reacclimated, to send the right foot back. We'll ground the right heel and roll to 2. Set your 2 first. And then we'll inhale to cactus. Exhale, drop the hands behind you. Thumbs and index fingers together at the sacrum. Inhale, we roll back to cactus. Exhale to the sacrum. Inhale, cactus. Exhale to the sacrum. And then when it feels appropriate for you, making sure that you're not collapsing on that front leg, we'll expand back to 2. Big, wide expanse here. Right heel spins up to crescent. Drop the hands and we'll step to the front of the mat. Oh. Good, solid mountain here. And from mountain, let's come up onto our toe mounds. So we take the heels just off of the mat. If it doesn't feel comfortable for you, you don't feel like you have that comfort in the balance of the toe mound, just get light in the heels. They don't even have to come off the mat. Just light in the heels. We're just shifting our weight into our toe mounds a little bit more. And then we're going to drop our way into a chair so that we put a little more strength requirement on the quads. We maintain this neutrality of the torso. Hands can stay right at heart center. We want to make sure that we're using the glutes enough that we're not putting all of our weight in the patella, all the strength requirement in the patella. And then we'll rise back to mountain. Drop the weight to the heels and toe mounds equivalently. Sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale through forward fold. Inhale into half lift. Exhale back into fold. Plant your hands. We'll walk our way into down dog. So as this young woman is kind of just bemusing over this pile of rocks, she sees this man come right up to the rock pile. He pulls a stone out of his pocket and he very carefully, very intricately places the stone in the pile, and he turns and walks back into the village. And she's seeing this from the front of the bakery, and she is fascinated by what is going on. We'll come down to hands and knees tabletop, flip the top of the feet, and we'll sink our way back into child's pose. Little ease back into child's pose here. And so she quickly grabs a couple croissants and she hightails it back to her aunt and uncle's house. And she busts through the door. She barely even greets them before she asks, "What's the deal with the stone pile?" And they both kind of look at each other and then have like a chuckle, like there's an inside joke. But they kind of brush off her question. More or less it's just a weird thing that's going on here. We'll give ourselves just 20 more seconds to settle into this child's pose. And when it feels appropriate, let's pull ourselves forward to hands and knees tabletop. Spread the fingers. You create the strength of your tabletop. And then let's curl our toes, lift our seat, and find our way into down dog. From down dog, we'll walk our way to the front of the mat. Inhale into half lift. Exhale back into fold. Drop the head so that you create that neutral chin alignment. Think back to the start of practice. And then let's roll or sweep our way to mountain. Hands are going to once again come behind us or to the sides, whatever feels the most comfortable for your shoulders. And then from mountain, splay your fingers or splay your toes out wide, your feet fingers, and then think about quad engagement, glute engagement, creating a balanced alignment here. Inhale, take the shoulders up as high as you can get them. Exhale, squeeze the shoulders back and down as far as you can get them. One more time. Inhale up. Exhale, squeeze back and down. And then keeping the shoulders, hands where they are, let's slide the left foot straight back into lunge. Bring the torso to vertical. Think about squeezing into the core. Inhale, lift your shoulders. Exhale, squeeze the shoulders back and down one more time. And just hold this as you lift your chin. Opening up that anterior throat space, thinking about the base of the throat expanding. Now relax your chin to neutral, but see if you can keep your shoulders where they are as you step forward and refine mountain. Refining mountain, quad squeeze, glute squeeze. We have developed the base position. Inhale, shoulders up. Exhale, shoulders back and down as far as you can get them. Then we'll slide the right foot back into lunge. Torso stays vertical here. Good core squeeze. Inhale, shoulders up. Exhale, back and down as far as you can get them. And then lift the chin. Open up that anterior throat girdle. Anterior shoulder girdle into the throat expansion. And see if you can feel that space just melting open as you breathe here. This can be a very tight portion of the body. Very rarely do we address it this deeply. Chin comes back to neutral, and we'll step to the front of the mat. Release your arms. Let the blood flow come back into the arms. Inhale, sweep the arms out in front of you, zombie style, palms down. Good glute squeeze. Exhale, release the hands by your side, thumbs forward. We just have a nice traditional mountain alignment. One more time, arms forward, zombie style. And exhale, by our side. All right. If blood flow hasn't normalized in the arms and you've been locked behind, go to the sides. If you're at the sides and the blood flow hasn't normalized, utilize the arms normally here. So depending on how your blood flow has resumed in your body, we're going to make a decision. If we feel like blood flow is normalized, we're going to go hands behind us, interlaced again. If that doesn't feel true to the sides, if the sides don't work, we're just staying neutral or at heart center, whatever feels best for you. We're going to inhale, shoulders up. Exhale, shoulder blades back and down. Slide the left foot straight back into lunge. Ground the left heel and roll the torso to 2. Now, take the right foot and turn it like 20 degrees externally rotated. So instead of being straight forward, we have a little extra open. And then pull that right anterior hip crease into neutral and push the hands up, elbows out. So hands are riding up the spine if they're behind us. If they're on the side, they're just riding up the side of the body. If they're right in front of us, we're just going elbows out. So wherever we are, we're trying to get the elbows out here. Trying to create some space in the top of the shoulder girdle up into that throat region. Keep that front leg wide open. And then relax to traditional warrior 2. You can even turn the foot back to traditional alignment. Note how much space that unlocks in the body. And then left heel spins up, crescent. Drop the hands and we'll step to the front of the mat. Nice work. Last little bit of standing here. So we're going to, once again, make a determination for our shoulders. Hands are coming behind us if that's acceptable, if not to the side, if not in front of the body. Right foot slides straight back. Right heel grounds. We take that left foot and we open it up maybe an extra 20 degrees. We hug the anterior hip crease. And then we slide those, we take the shoulders up, back down, and then we slide the hands up so that the elbows can go out. And we just try to bring room across the shoulder girdle. Trying to add width here so that we have more room to breathe. The goal here is to feel the top of the lungs become more easily accessible to our respiration. And then we'll release the hands, release the foot, spin the right heel up into crescent, drop the hands and step to the front of the mat. Nice work. Just pause here for a moment. Just let the shoulders relax here for just a moment. Let's sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale through forward fold. Inhale into half lift. Exhale back into fold. Plant your hands. We'll walk our way into down dog. Get your tailbone back. Let's come down to hands and knees, tabletop. We'll sink our seat back into one last child's pose. This will be for sure the last child's pose of practice. So be as soft as possible here. Also note that we did a lot of shoulder work there. It may feel really good to put the hands down by the feet. It may not, but just a suggestion or a reminder that that is available to you. So this young woman is kind of blown off by her aunt and uncle, but she doesn't let it go. She pushes forward for more knowledge. And she says, no, really, like what, why is that rock pile there? How many people are building this? Why is it getting built? And they both kind of at the same time say it's just one person. And she's like, her eyes are huge. One, because she saw the person who's doing this, and two, because there are so many rocks in this structure, in this pile. And so she says, why is he doing it? Like, is it an art project? And her aunt really quickly responds, and she says, no, it's because the summers are too hot. And then very quickly, almost before she's able to finish her sentence, her uncle cuts her off and says, no, it's not because the summers are too hot. It's because the winters are too cold. When it feels appropriate for you, let's pull ourselves forward to hands and knees tabletop. From hands and knees tabletop, just let the torso rock a little side to side. See if you can find your way into that shoulder girdle space. Just use all that torso room that we've worked so hard to create. And then let's come back to neutral and we'll extend our legs straight out in front of us. And as the legs extend out in front of you, just follow them forward into a fold. Remember that the knees can bend. We were not particularly focused on posterior chain expansion. So if you're feeling a little shorter than you might expect at this point in practice, that is likely why. It could also be that somebody brought some wonderful cookies around. So that's it is that time of the year, cookie time. We're just getting our way into a nice little space of ease here. And so her aunt and her uncle they get into this little bickering, going back and forth about whether it's because the winters are too cold or the summers are too hot. And this young woman, she has more information, but she feels like she knows less about the situation than before she started asking. We'll give ourselves 60 more seconds here. So she vows that she's going to solve this riddle before she leaves this town. And she wakes up the next morning and she runs down to this stone pile. And she grabs a coffee and a croissant first, but she's like on a stakeout. She's just locked in, watching this stone pile, watching everyone who comes in or goes out of the village, making sure that she knows the person she's looking for, making sure that person does not get by her view. When it feels appropriate for you, we'll release ourselves back into staff. Think about creating the vertical spine first, and then let's lower ourselves onto our back. And as you release yourself onto your spine here, let all of the work of the practice settle in. Just feel the mat beneath you as you respirate. We'll give ourselves 20 more seconds here. Goal is to just be as at ease as is possible. And then when it feels appropriate, let's bring our knees into a bent position if they're not already. And then we'll let the bottoms of the feet come together and the knees fall out wide. We won't be here super long. Just one last little external hip opener before we slip into some stillness. And then all of a sudden, her heart starts to race. She sees this man. He walks directly up to the stone pile. He pulls a stone out of his pocket and he very carefully, very deliberately places this stone on this pile. And she almost full on sprints up to him. And without thinking, she just blurts out, "Why did you put that stone there?" And he's startled, taken aback, and a little grumpy about being accosted this way. But he eventually does offer her a response. Last 20 seconds here. He says, "Because I'm too tired." And she is like, again, further information. She feels like she knows less about what's going on. And so the only thing she can think to do is ask, "Why did you put a stone there yesterday?" And he sighs and he kind of like thinks for a second. And then he's like, "I put that there because I'm too busy." And her eyes go wide and she is dumbfounded. She does not know where to go next. When it feels appropriate for you, let's bring the knees back to neutral. And then just ask yourself if you want or need anything prior to Shavasana. If there's anything that you could offer yourself that would be beneficial, let's offer that now. If you're ready for some stillness, then let's just drift into a shape where we can fully appreciate some stillness here. So her mind is racing like a million miles a second right now. And she's trying to formulate a thought so that she can formulate a question so that she can figure out what is going on with this pile of stones. And the only thing she can think to say is, "Why do you keep putting stones here?" Just drifting into your version of ease, your version of stillness, your version of rest this evening. And so he looks back at her and he's like, they're reminders. She's like, you need a reminder that you're too busy? You need a reminder that you're too tired? He says, you're like everybody else. You don't really understand. Let's start to bring some movement to our fingers and our toes. Because they're reminders not of what I need. They're reminders of why I can't leave this place. I put them here at the entrance because if I ever get the urge, I make it to the gate and I'm reminded. Move it into your wrists, your ankles, your elbows, your knees, your shoulders, your hips, your neck, your head, jaw, eyes, tongue. Eventually, the whole body moves, and we'll utilize that movement to transition our way into a seat. And so, pretty quickly, this woman knows this mystery. And she looks at the guy with a great deal of compassion because she feels sorry for him. And she says, oh. And she just kind of walks back to her aunt and uncle's house. Let your spine get tall, breath get fluid, eyes closed here. We'll inhale our hands together, heart center. Think about all of the space in the top of the lungs as you respirate and really try to feel the ease of respiration in the top of the lungs. Over the course of the next 7 days, can you remind yourself that our potential can be tied to our excuses or our capacity and can be pulled in either direction, and see how that impacts your experience. Thank you so much for being a part of this evening's practice and for being you. Namaste.